Hey everyone, this is James from Investing and Testing. Today I'm going to be doing a review of someone who I'm working with, their CV. I've done a far more in-depth review with them, but it was over an hour, and so I wanted to essentially do a cut-down version for everyone else so they can see the high-level things that I'm looking for to quickly improve on someone's CV, and then hopefully it helps someone that looks at this. There's more information on our website, investingandtesting.com, if you are looking for more help. So first off, you can probably see I've removed the name and just made this generic. I've also removed the email address, LinkedIn, and phone. So again, I've asked permission to use the CV, but I feel like I don't feel comfortable giving out his information. So I've removed it. Initially, what I wanted to show you is this was a professional email address. By professional, I mean, it wasn't using, let's say, anything other than his name and numbers. And this was also his actual name rather than it being just LinkedIn's whatever comes after, if you haven't actually set your own LinkedIn URL. So that's something I'll do. I like the fact that he has his name up here right at the top in like large font, a lot larger than everything else. And then he has a section which essentially gives the high level details of what he's been working on, which I like. It sort of sets up saying, at least I've got the basic skills to do this. You can see I am a QA analyst with 4 years experience. I was telling him this needs to be, and I'll say this a lot, this needs to be specific for the role that you're looking at. He's got Dynamics 365 as one of his skills. A lot of jobs won't require this, but if he was going for a Dynamics 365 job, then I'd make this I might even remove those and just put including Dynamics 365 or including Microsoft Dynamics so that he doesn't even limit himself to the specific version. This can be cleaned up a little bit, and we've gone through it. I'm using Grammarly as part of the review tool. You can see here that it said organizational is misspelled. That's American spelling versus, I guess, British. And this guy is applying for roles in New Zealand, so British spelling is completely fine. This is obviously misspelled, which is not great. I will say in most of this, it's very generic. It doesn't talk about anything that he's actually accomplished. It's just very generic stuff that you're going to see on most CVs. So I did talk to him about talking about, his big wins and things that he's done that are different to everyone else so he can stand out a little bit. And we'll actually see some of that a little bit further down. But a lot of this is good. It talks about the tools. I said that maybe this should be changed to a skills section because you'll see a lot of repetition in the CV. Let's say I am, looking to hire someone. I get, I think when we're hiring in New Zealand, we'd get like 20 to 50 CVs for each role. And I once posted one on the, I think, Appium forums, and I got over 200 CVs sent to me. It was ridiculous. So you're getting a lot of CVs coming in. And so you really want to massively highlight the positives because that's going to be really what you want people to focus on. The things that make you stand out, things that make you different, things that might create a connection or a bond between you and the reviewer. And make sure that anything that isn't going to really help you get that job is potentially removed, or in fact definitely removed. If it's not going to help you get the job, if it's not interesting to the reviewer, get rid of it. I've seen people say that they've got Windows XP experience. That means nothing to almost everyone unless it's very specific for that role. Let's say it's a very old government organization that says we need Windows XP experience. But in general, that would be not particularly useful. Some of the things that I noted, he is not using full stops after each, let's say, bullet point here, which is fine. Like, I don't usually use full stops, but then further down, he starts to. He has got some, I guess, helped to develop. Yeah, this should, some incorrect grammar, some incorrect spelling as we go through here. Which again, this is obviously fine because this is British versus American spelling. What's it saying here? Yeah. Field tested, I think that's fine. But you can see there's just some grammar mistakes, some spelling mistakes, some, let's say, like just inconsistencies even within this bulleted list, some are using full stops, some aren't. So that's the type of thing where when you're a tester, or when you're trying to get into QA, you're trying to show that you have attention to detail and this type of thing, matters to you. So I'm looking for this type of stuff to be like, okay, who am I not going to interview? Well, I'm not going to interview anyone with a spelling mistake. I'm not going to interview anyone where where they don't show attention to detail. So I would have put this CV in the no pile. What else have we got? Again, this is going to be American versus British spelling. Cross browsers fine like this, I believe. I can't actually remember. I'd probably look at SourceLab's website to see what they actually did and match that. I told him I don't think that this is needed. I feel like he's already got a job in New Zealand, or had one. I believe this is in New Zealand. And he's already studied in New Zealand. So both of those make me think that he's already got a visa. And anything else, it's almost like a negative having to put this here, which is not great. I also noted, when I first looked at this, there's a big period of time where I was like, what were you doing here? And a lot of the time you can actually get around this. We could even say, look, this is 2019 to present, 2018. Oh, okay, so that's this was formatted better in Microsoft, but because I wanted to edit it, I quickly switched it into Google. So something like this would hide his, the fact that he actually had a year off where he moved to New Zealand, and he did this course here. Right, that I think that started. I can't actually remember when he said that started. But I also said that if he didn't want to change this to essentially being years, he could even. I was talking to him about this. Sorry, I'm jumping around all over the place, and that's because unfortunately, because he's got this year off, he spent time while he was here actually doing projects for companies. So it was a diploma, but it was actually essentially doing mini projects. So I was thinking, if you are doing those mini projects, that doesn't have to be in the education part, right? He could either remove this or just remove that part. That looks fine. And then add an extra section up here. It's like, I forget what the name of it was. What was the name? It's like Gold Star. Oh, it was Gold Star. I'd say like gold. Oops, Gold Star. Oh, I can't spell. Institute. Oh, yeah. Like 2019 to. No, that's the wrong time. But whatever dates he ended up doing it in. If he is adding this, then he probably should go back to adding months. So say it's Feb. Anyway, and then put this there. That hasn't pasted very well. There we go. And again, people are looking for reasons to reject CVs, and this would essentially mean that you could show that you actually did some work. You're going to have to ignore the formatting. I'm not going to spend a lot of time formatting for something that we've already talked about with him. What else did I talk about? So one of the things I really liked about his CV is the achievement section. He talks each time about like the roles, and I was like, this is great, but again, it's really generic. And the skills learnt, again, this is sort of taking away from actually what he did at the job. If this was in a skills section, then I could be like, okay, what skills does he have right at the start, and stop having to stop myself when I'm reading through this. So I was saying, if you get rid of each of these skills sections, change the above like we talked about, And then I got to, where is it? Here. Is it here? Is it here? Oh, that's right here. So he has some achievements where he's gone out of his way, and a lot of you guys will actually have this if you think about it. Um, and I go into more depth in the course, and for free on the website. He's got some really great stats here. And these are the type of things that I want to highlight. If I'm trying to hire, this is the type of thing that I'm looking at. He developed an extensible test automation framework, which increased test efficiency by 40%. Like, this is a huge win, and it's hidden. If we were to move let's say add back those skills, it's hidden all the way down. Where was it? I'm completely blind. Okay, so it's on the second page, and it's not big, and it's like hidden away from everything. And like I was saying, it's this type of thing that makes it hard for me to find these achievements, right? I would switch this up, and for each role have less, and have it as like literally the first thing that's there. So I'm really trying to highlight that this is, a massive accomplishment. He's done really well here. If he goes in and does this at other companies, that's a huge win for them, and it's a reason to hire him. Let's see. I also noticed when he was going through this, he has OWASP, which is one of the big, I guess, the main security open source, any what community or group, or I'm not exactly sure. And then he has another, like a tool, specific tool that he's used, ZAP, which is Z-Attack Proxy, which honestly, security testing is really hard to find, especially in New Zealand. And I was like, I had to scroll all the way to the bottom of the second page to find out that you have this experience. Now, a lot of roles, he's obviously doesn't have enough skills to get a security testing role, but the fact that he has this and that he's picked up this type of tool is really great for me to see. It shows me that he's interested in testing and he's looking to improve his career. He also has JMeter experience, which again is a performance testing tool. Oh, it's performance load testing. Yeah. It's the most common one, Java based, and I'd say probably the most used tool in the New Zealand market for load testing. Probably actually the most used tool in the world. And OWASP Zap is probably one of the two most used security tools, maybe, or at least scanning tools. And so you're talking about tools that are like, they're very, so at my previous company, Fiserv, there were 50 testers. I was the only person with this experience. And I think there were 2 or 3 people with JMeter experience, including myself. So you're talking about a skill set that is very, very hard to find, and he is hiding it all the way at the bottom of his CV. And the fact that, like I said, the fact that he is picking up these type of new skills is something that I want him to emphasize, right? He's actually interested in testing. I'm prepared to pick up new skills. I can pick up new skills. Look, I've already done this. And then we also talked about the fact that he doesn't have that much experience, how he can potentially change his CV to either show projects that he's working on. He does have a LinkedIn, but he's also got a GitHub, where he's actually got some of these projects linked. And I was saying, look, that's something that you can consider adding to your skills section. And then also he could consider having that in his cover letter, because I actually recommend you do use a cover letter. Because you can, again, highlight things that they're specifically talking about in their job ad. And then the final thing that I told him is that this does need to be customized for the job that you're applying for. So, if you're applying for a role that, again, is Dynamics, then cut a whole bunch of this stuff out. I really want a CV to be at most 2 pages, really 1. And I also said, like, you can use a better template than this. There are a whole bunch of them that I linked to him, and so he's going to improve this a lot. I mean, this is already better than a lot of the CVs that I've actually seen. But there were a lot of areas for improvement, and that, I guess, is what I'm trying to show you guys now. So hopefully that is going to help some of you out in finding a new job, or at least getting to the stage where you're getting interviews. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you would like additional help, there's more information on our website, investingandtesting.com. Great. Thanks for listening, guys. I will talk to everyone later.